Yep.
Okay, good. So welcome everybody to Gordon's Zoom, and I'm Dave, the coordinator. And Gordon's been giving us many good meditations in the beginning to get us going. And so I think we're ready to go, Gordon. Take it away.
Okay, thanks, David. And welcome everybody to another Zoom session where we're going to practice our curiosity about spirits and their state of mind and being as we elevate ourselves into the various levels of spirit and go meandering, searching, looking for spirits that might need some help and who probably do need some help, but are in ignorance of the fact that they need help and may deny our reality or make fun of what we would like to do. But, we're all used to that by now. We know the games people play, and turns out the games people play are pretty much similar to, the dead games that dead people play. There's a lot of hiding behind personality quirks and belief systems and assumptions and denials. But I think I have great confidence that you all know how to deal with this now. I don't feel like you need much more encouragement that you all seem to self, pretty much self-directed, even though we are doing this together and using the group energy. Um, I'm very happy with the quote unquote progress that you have all made. And I say quote unquote because I suspect a lot of you were doing this unconsciously before you joined the Zoom group. You might have woken up with fragments of lucid dreams going through your mind, suggesting that you had interacted with a spirit or spirits and not knowing quite why or how. But that has come to me over the years dealing with many clients who contact me by email that that is often how it starts. These vague recollections of being out and about in the dream world and doing mysterious things. Anyway, here we all are together, and I hope you all feel ready to explore and let us calm ourselves a little bit. Let us move away from thoughts of yesterday and anticipations of tomorrow. Let us settle into the moment, the eternal moment of now, from which we can, use it as a springboard and move into any aspect of eternity that we would like to explore. So please find yourself in a comfortable position, whatever suits you, sitting, lying, sprawling, whatever, whatever suits your body and its need to relax. Let us take that as a given and move on up out of our bodies, leaving it to rest as we explore in spirit. Let us move on up out of our physical positions. Let us move on up through the room that we are in and up through the ceiling and up through the roof and out into the fresh air of the neighborhood, wherever we happen to be. Allow yourself to feel the vibrations arising from your community the activities of birds and clouds and wind. And as you gather your interest together and move on out into the levels of spirit, any of the levels of spirit that you feel attracted to today, or maybe nudged towards by your guides, allow yourself to move and explore. May you all have interactions of interest that challenge you in one way or another. And we will reconvene in about 15 minutes and discuss. And until then, bon voyage.
It's been about 15 to 20 minutes, Gordon.
Okay, David, thank you.
Sure.
That's good timing. I just finished a little retrieval right about 15 seconds before you spoke to me. Nice. Ooh. Do you see any hands up? No?
Let me get into the view here. Yes, Adrian's raised his hand and
Yeah, I was adjusting the lamp, but I can speak.
okay,
If nobody
good.
else.
Okay,
Okay,
well,
so
nice
Marg
to see you all
raised his.
back. Sorry?
I see Marg raised her hand.
Oh yeah,
Right.
but no, go ahead, Adrian. Go ahead. I think you were
Okay,
saying.
so
Thank you.
I started the meditation, and it came. I was wondering what to do, where to go, and it came to mind that I tried to retrieve this alcoholic guy who I couldn't back then. So I tried again today. So I went there, and last time he was hanging around someone who was an alcoholic and experiencing a high through him. But this time it was like actually he was like in his body or merging with his field, or like it was stuck to him. So he was still in the same mindset that he didn't care about anything else but drinking, and it wasn't even really conscious. It's just a way of feeling like that's what I want, that's what I am. But I talked to him if he remembers me. He remembered me and wasn't happy about seeing me. But so I told him again that what you're doing is not just bad for you, it's also bad for the person you are attached to or you're hanging around. And he did have a bit of conscience, so he didn't, like, he felt that it's wrong to set back or harm someone else, even though he was very immersed in the high and his desire of just hanging there. So I tried again that, I'm here again. This is your chance. Do you really want that? You can come back later if you want to. Like, it's not like you can't come back here, but you can try something else. And it's now or never, or something like that. And he agreed. And but he kind of was stuck to the person. So I asked for some assistance. I asked, whoever can help with this situation to come forward and help. And it was some sort of light being, maybe an angel, like shimmering, shining. So he was able to. He took him, or I don't know if it's not a he, but whoever it was, it took him, and they flew away. So then I was wondering if, okay, that's interesting. So should I do something else? And I had a short conversation with my guide, although it was mainly me speaking. And I couldn't hear him, but I could feel him. And then I decided I would try something else, since I'm already in this meditative state and it seems like I can expand today. I tried an experiment to try to reach the mantis beings. I never tried this before, but I watched some videos about them. So I thought, why not? And I did see being like that. It wasn't entirely clear, but got the sense that he's there. And I had a conversation. It was now I could, I get it what he was saying. First, he said that he was surprised who I am and what am I doing there. And I just told him that I'm expanding my consciousness and would like to have a greater understanding of reality. And if and I just want to see and know more of what is. And if he can give any guidance. And he said that like he was scanning me, and he said that it's really not his place to guide me. But since I'm there, they would give me a gift. And I said, oh, okay. And what that will be. And it was something along the lines that they will give me a greater attunement to reality, perception, to be aware. And I asked how and when it will happen, and he said it will happen when in its own time, not to worry about it. And okay, thank you. And then I left, and that was it for today.
You had a busy time today.
Yeah. And again, when I started, I wasn't sure if anything will happen, but it seemed that something happened today.
Well, maybe you'll see that praying mantis guy again.
Maybe.
And in regards to like helping that alcoholic guy.
Yeah.
I know, and Gordon, you might want to comment on this. I think I read something in Gordon's book that sometimes it takes multiple times seeing these people, and sooner or later you get it. I think Gordon's been down to the lower levels before.
Yeah, I felt a quite sudden change in him. Like he was totally seemed that he was set on just craving and hanging there. But I was surprised that he agreed to try something else.
And these attachment guys you talk about, I just will verify that I think that is true. And I've had some experience with that. And I had some work done with a hypnotherapist maybe 5 years ago, and we identified the guy. He came, and we were able to release him. And
that's nice.
It was, because it was hanging on to me since I've been in my 20s. I didn't know what it was. Okay.
I think sometimes real life people could use something like that. Like maybe no one talks to them their entire life, or not entire life, but maybe years can pass and no one says them that you can do better than that.
Did it actually look like a praying mantis, the being that you saw?
Well, I just saw a head and big eyes, and it wasn't entirely clear. More of a presence.
Sure. Thanks, Adrian.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for that, Adrian. Good stuff.
Hey, Gordon, what I said about you, was that in one of your books? Sometimes it takes a couple times, sometimes you cannot have success with it either.
Oh, yes, you can go back several times over either a period of weeks or months. And of course, it doesn't seem like months to them, but and you talk to them, and sometimes they're completely resistant, and then other times they'll listen to you and say that, react, well, that what you say is true, and I should live that way, and they'll be, but they won't change. They'll act as though they're understanding you and thinking over what you're saying, but they still won't stop. And the habitual patterns, they can't give them up. And for them to have a beer in the morning is like for the rest of us to have a tea or a coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And they look at you like, what, you want me to not have a beer in the morning? You're kidding, right? Just as if you might say to me, David, yeah, Gordon, why don't you not have a coffee in the morning? And I'd look at you like, David, you're kidding, right? Um, just to give a very simple example, and that's not to excuse them because that first beer they're going to have is going to lead to 10 more, but that's how they see it. And so I think Adrian did pretty good getting the guy to come around in the one session here. Sometimes it can take a lot longer, but yeah, that was that's
I
pretty
was a
much
bit
how.
tough with him. Like usually I'm, very understanding and mild, so to speak. But I I was hard. I was hard with him today.
Yes, yes. Well, we all get the sense of when we can turn up the pressure. I
Mhm.
think you can all figure that out by now from things that you've said over the past 2 months. You know when you get to know when it's time to back off a little and when it's time to kind of move in and turn up the pressure a little bit.
Mhm.
It's an art, it's a talent, but everyone gets it. You just approach the situation with a little bit of sensitivity and you can do it. I mean, I had a resistant thing myself today of another kind, and I'll talk about it when it's my turn. But that's pretty much what happens, Adrian. You just get sensitive to the situation and know how to deal with it nine out of 10 times.
Okay, thank you
Margaret.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know, Adrian, probably he needed somebody like you to give him a swift kick in the pants to keep him to to make him get out of the situation he was in. Sometimes they need somebody like that. Mine was very weird. Well, I shouldn't say weird, actually. I found it a little hard to connect at first. There was an awful lot of energy going through my head. My head got really hot. My arms got really hot. My hands got really hot, and my legs got really hot. And I thought, what is this? What is this? When I asked, is there somebody there that I can help? Someone who needs my help? I immediately got, it's going to sound strange. I immediately got a fellow by the name of Gerald on The Witcher. And I don't know if you guys watch that on Netflix, but it's kind of like a fantasy story. It's like Game of Thrones, people back then, a big, bulky, big guy, strong guy.
Mhm.
And he was crawling up a rock. And I thought, and I recognized him and I said, oh, that's The Witcher. That's a TV program. I'm not going there. So I turned away from that. But he kept coming back. And I said, how can I help you? And he said, you could love me. I thought, I said, well, who are you? And then I noticed he had wings. So I said, oh my God, is this Archangel Michael? And he said, yes, it is. And when he said, when he said that line, like, you could love me, I said, but I do love you. You're one of my angels that I work with very closely, you and Raphael. And his wing, every time I said the word love, his wings would glow from gold to really bright light, really bright light. But the energy here, it's very cloudy here today. It's very kind of damp. And I think the frequency was not very strong for me, even though I'm getting all this heat or whatever running through me. But anyway, I just explained to him, I said, I'm really surprised that you would say that. You are very close to my heart and I use you a lot and I really appreciate your service. Anyway, when he left, I noticed that my hands started to turn cold again and I started to come back. Weird. I don't know where that came from, but that was it.
So, Mark, when you first perceived this being, can you describe again what your first perception of this being was?
He was from a show that I've been watching on television.
Uh-huh.
He was the character I saw on television. He was crawling up a rock. He was crawling up some rocks to get to me. And I thought,
Uh-huh.
oh, I'm just visualizing what I saw last night on television.
Uh-huh.
Or the character was on television. So
Uh-huh.
that's why I said, oh, you're from television. So I'm going off in a different direction. So is there anybody else out there that I can help? But the weird thing is the energy that came through, Gordon, like my head getting really hot, my my arms and legs and hands getting extremely hot with energy. And then and then he came in and we had this conversation. But it was Archangel Michael, but he was in the form of this character that I had seen on television.
So, did you understand why an archangel would take on that form?
I probably just because I like the form. Is that possible? Is that possible? But he's always kind of appeared to me that way. Even when we're doing Dragon Thunder and we're doing a meditation. Archangel Michael is associated with a black dragon, which is one of my dragons, and he rode the dragon, and that's how he appears on the dragon.
I see.
So why? Why are you asking?
Well, I'm just curious as to why Archangel Michael or any archangel would appear as a character from a television show.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know unless that's the way I visualize them. Something like that.
Mark, I've noticed over the years that some recently deceased people will take on a form of some television character that they really love. A Superman type character, any kind of a superhero type character. I've come across that a few times. Now that's just them fantasizing because they're out of their physical body and they don't realize that they can manifest a number of forms just by desiring it, but they do it anyway. They just think about it. They think, I'm all screwed up and maybe Superman can save me. So Superman or any other hero, and then they become that thing that they desire. And I thought that's what you were encountering, but I guess not.
Well, I don't know. That's very interesting. I didn't know. I don't know who this person is then. I envisioned the wings on him, so I thought, oh, okay, you're an angel. You got to be an angel. You're an archangel that I work with. So that's how I would recognize you, because of the wings. And then, like I said, every time I said the word love, his wings would go from gold to, they glow very, very fast. So it was just very odd. That's all I can say. And then when he kind of faded after that, when he left my hand, I could feel my hands turn back to normal and they turned cold, like he's gone.
Well, Mark, that reminds me of when I first, way back in the times when I first started thinking I could do distance healing. This is way back when I was going to see the crop circles in the 90s. And I'd get these hot hands, really hot hands. And people would say, Gord, you got hot hands. Where'd you get those? And, these are friends, And once I got used to the healing energies, my hands didn't get so hot anymore. But that went on for quite a while.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Yeah.
Actually, that's really good, Gordon, because I get that every time I do Reiki.
Well, I'm sure that it's the Reiki energy that's making them hot. Sure it is.
Yeah.
It's just I hadn't been reminded of that for a while. That's all.
Wow. Nice.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
No. I'm done.
Okay. I'd like to piggyback this with something that I had, and it was a television show too. And does anybody, in the 1950s, there was a lot of Westerns that were made in the United States. Bonanza is one of them.
Yep.
And they show them still, and
Mhm.
on stations. And I used to watch them when I was a kid. And so, and then I see this hospice guy once a week. I'm going to see him tomorrow. He can't move at all. He sits in his recliner. He can't really talk that much. And all we do is watch these Westerns. And so you'll understand what I'm going to say, where the connection is with Margaret here. So at first today, I didn't have anything happening. I was just seeing like purple forms and purple blobs, rectangles, that kind of thing, which is a common thing with me. And then the scene moved to a Western, and it was there was a wagon, and there was 4 horses that were drawing the wagon, and there was one of the it was 2 men. One was riding and driving the horses. The other one was up on one of the horses. And the guy that was up on one of the horses, somehow, next thing I see, he's gone down between the 2 horses. He's fallen down in between. He's being dragged. And the guy that's in charge of the horses and steering them does nothing at all. And he knows that the guy fell down there. He's not trying to stop the horses or anything like that. And so the next thing I see, so what happened was, the next thing I see is we've gone into one of these Western towns, and the deceased man who had died from that is wrapped up in a roll of like canvas or something, tied up, and they're going into town. And that's the last that I saw. And it ended there. So I saw death. Maybe I can pick this up next time or something, or in one of my own things. But I just thought that was interesting. The connection that Margaret and I had with a television show.
Good.
So Denise, you're usually last. Would you like to go at this point?
I don't have much to report. It was very, very interesting. The energy got really, really strong for me before Gordon even stopped speaking. And then shortly after he stopped speaking, my heart rate changed, and it did the entire time. So it felt like I was a battery type. You know what I mean? There was just a big pull on me, like I was in a vortex. And my heart rate was a different pattern the entire time, and strong energy around my chest. And typically when because I'm a sitter in a physical medium, and typically when you're the battery, you get a lot of pressure around your head or a pulling from your head. This was different today. And I just sat in that energy because that's what I felt like. I felt like I was a battery. I don't know for who, whatever, but it was interesting. I never had any mind chatter. Nobody ever came in. It just, there was just this pull the entire time. And like I said, my heart rate, it wasn't erratic. It was just different. It was different.
Are you saying, when you say battery has a lot of energy, and is that what you were saying, that you were like that?
Yeah, I felt like Spirit was using me as a vessel to assist you or Gordon or Adrian or Marge or Stanley or Larice, any one of us.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually how it is when you're a sitter in
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And another
Yes.
group is, yeah, you're the battery. So, like I said,
it's nice to have some batteries here to help us. So
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm very high energy, so that happens to me That happens to me a lot. And actually in one group I'm in, I am the designated battery. You know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
didn't surprise me. The energy was very strong. It can be overwhelming. You know what I mean? But I didn't tell anybody to back off. I just sat in it. You know what I mean? To the point of where, it wasn't so intense. You know what I mean? I adapted to it. Yeah. But it never went past that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's very good, though. Anything that we get is good.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're in training for something there, dear.
Yeah, that could be, it could have been, I don't know, some type of trance, right, too. It's, it's hard. I am in, like I said, I sit in physical medium I sit for a physical medium, and then I'm also in a couple of channeling. Well, I'm sure we all are, right? Yeah. So, it's hard, it's hard to say.
Well, it sounds to me like you're being helped to perfect your storage of energy in this experience of being a battery.
Okay.
And it's going to go on. I mean, if it wasn't going to go on, it'd be kind of pointless. But it sounds to me like it's going to go on, and you're just going to get better and more efficient at it.
Yeah. 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 So that's why, I went with it. You never know what they're going to bring through. And
Yes.
you just have to trust and just, you know what I mean? Go with it. You're always waiting. And I'll be perfectly honest. I was waiting for, okay, you guys you set me up for this. Then all of a sudden something comes in at the last minute, and then boom. And, nothing came in. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. It's an interesting web we weave in this stuff that we do, right? But it's all very exciting, and it's all, I welcome it all, Yeah.
There's so much diversity. Everybody's got a different thing.
Yeah.
And every time that we meet, it's different.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in one group, and there's like 6 of us women, and we'll go into meditation on a particular, like somebody will start off and they'll say something, and then we're okay, we're going to go into meditation on this. And it's always wild because, whatever, if there's 5, 6, 7 of us, we all come up with a similar, but yet, you know what I mean? It's, it's never apples and apples. It's, it's usually apples and oranges. It's never like apples and zucchini, you know what I mean? But it's always apples and oranges. Every once in a while, apples and apples. But yeah, those synchronicities and just, it just, and it's funny. Today I wrote out the word community, and in one of this group, we're focusing on unity. And I never realized that community ends in unity.
Yeah. I didn't either.
Yeah, which is, that was kind of an aha moment, like, kind of, oh, yeah, speaks for itself, right? Community, unity, you know what I mean? One of the so, yeah, it's cool.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Larice, you go ahead now. You there, Larice?
Yeah, I was just having trouble getting unmuted here.
Okay.
Okay. I think it is possible that Denise was the battery for what happened to me.
Oh.
Because it took a lot of energy.
Hmm.
And even though it wasn't, it felt pretty physical. I mean, I had a lot of physical experiences in it. Like, okay, so this time I floated around for a short time, and then Dorothea Dix came and got me, and she has, become one of my guides. And she said, "Are you ready for this?" And I said, "I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do." And so she was kind of telling me the story as she took me where we were going. And because many times I've asked her, I've told you guys the story about how there was a TV program on her when I was a child, and I was afraid they'd turn it off before I got to hear it all. And she said, you used to work with me. And she said, you were more or less a spy. She said you would, get like cleaning jobs in these places, like just janitorial, really low level stuff. But, you could see and hear everything. And she said there were some other people in the group. Some of them were patients that if they could, if they had it together enough to help. And some of them were, there were some nurses in the group. And she said in this one place, it's in Alabama, she said there's a couple of like 4 or 5 people that never came all the way, to the spirit world. They were killed and they never came all the way to the spirit world. So we need to go get them. And she said, so I asked her, I said, did I get killed in that particular incident? And she said, yeah, that's why I want to bring you there, because they'll recognize you. They're afraid of a lot of people. But if you go in there and say, hey, come on, you guys, we got to get out of here, they will. I was like, okay. So, and I was feeling a lot of stuff in my body, like, stuff in my chest and my stomach, stuff in my shoulders, stuff in my head. It was, just a lot of energy moving. So we went to this place, and there was this little group kind of huddled together. Some of them were patients, and like the attendants, some of were sort of trying to protect the patients as best they could. Some of them were holding on to them, or some of them were bent over them and stuff. And when I came in, I didn't really even say anything. I just showed up, and I didn't really even expect them to see me. I was just taking in the scene, like, okay, what do we have here? And they started going, where have you been? I was like, never mind that. Now I don't have time to explain. We got to get out of here. And I mean, right now. And they were asking me questions, and I kept saying, later, okay? We got to get out of here. We can't, we should have done it yesterday. We have to get out of here now. And so they started to, a couple of them were afraid they couldn't, because they had physical injuries. And I said, well, let's see if there's anything we can do about that. And I'd like stretch out my hands. And then I'd say, stand up and kind of stretch and flex a little bit. Does it hurt? They'd say, well, no. Okay, so we're good, right? So then they didn't understand. They'd ask more questions and say, not now. And then we picked up the patients, and, there might've been like 4 or 5 people involved in this. We picked up the patients, and we ran back into the woods, and there was, Dorothea was there with a carriage. And so we got them all settled in the carriage. And then she said, okay, we're out of here. And I figured when they get to the spirit world, she can explain. But anyway, that's what happened to me. It was pretty wild, and I felt it a lot. Got pretty emotional.
Thank you. That was interesting.
So here we got Dorothea again. You and her.
Yep.
She's back.
Yep. And we once crossed over on something once before, Larry, so it could very well be.
Yeah, I remember we did.
Yeah. So it could very well be that I was the battery for your experience.
I think you might have been, because it felt like it took a lot of energy.
Yeah.
It's very good. Gordon.
Oh, it's me. Okay.
Yes.
I was influenced somewhat by a news headline I'd seen today and yesterday about this cargo plane that was identified as a UPS plane that crashed at some airport in the southern states. I can't quite remember where. And they figured at least 9 people had perished in the flames. And that was on my mind. So I said, I asked Spirit, is there anyone left there that hasn't been retrieved? And I got the answer, yeah, there's 2. So I projected over to it and saw, the wreck of the burned out wreck of a plane, and sensed that there was two bodies inside that still had souls within them. So I did this exercise, this little trick that Bruce Moen taught us all years ago about imagining it all whole again. He taught it in terms of collapsed buildings in earthquakes. And he said, you just imagine that the building is whole again. And since the dead folk are inside what they think is a collapsed building, then you can take advantage of that and turn it into a complete one. And then they'll be dazed, but they'll be able to walk out because there's no more concrete lying on their legs or whatever. So I did that trick, and there was this sort of complete looking plane, and these couple of people, two guys, kind of walked out, kind of dazed and like, what was that? And who are you? And that sort of a thing. And I explained who I was. And one of them was immediately keen. He said, "Oh, yeah, I'll go to any heaven that you'll take me to." It was quite funny the way he said that. I often get a lot of resistance, but he was like ready to go. I don't know if he was bored with his life or what. But he seemed to be like not particularly religious or spiritual, just had some notion that paradise was a place where you could really have fun. And the other fella was a little more religious, and he was kind of keen to go to a heaven world, a religious heaven world. And you could see that the two of them, although they had worked together on this plane, I don't know what doing, moving, I don't know if they were guys that moved the cargo or UPS employees, I'm not sure. But they weren't the best of friends. And I think it's because one of them was a materialist and the other was religious. But, they didn't start arguing or anything, but there was a sort of distance between them. And so I assured the religious one that he could go to a heaven that would be a good place for him to be, a place he'd be comfortable with. And I said, but first I'm going to take you both to a reception center where you can get settled and, have a hot shower and get on some fresh clothes and have a meal. And then they'll reassign you to where you would like to go. And they kind of liked my explanation without too much resistance. So I took them there to a reception center, and a lady came out to meet us, and they kind of looked at her like, who's she? And then the lady said, thanks, Gord. And they're looking at her going, well, how does she know who you are? The usual sort of puzzlement that these people have. They don't realize we do this stuff all the time. And so they went, I said, just go on in and, get settled and get those raggedy old clothes off and, have a nice shower and a meal and get rested up. And then you can go to where you want to go. So off they went. And that didn't take very long, as you can imagine. And then I asked her if there's anything else to do, and they didn't come up with anything. And then I got this voice saying, "Oh, wait a minute, we've got that old lady." And I said, "Okay, you've got some old lady." So I was guided to, or what looked like the thought form of a bedroom in which this old lady had died in some time ago. And I don't mean yesterday. I don't mean 100 years ago either, but, sometime. And she'd sort of gone into what I call an astral sleep. They go from a physical sleep. She probably had a stroke or a heart attack, was quite old. And it turned into an astral sleep, and she was still sleeping, and they couldn't seem to awaken her, the regular astral plane guides. So they called upon me because my energy is a little more physical plane. So I spent some time projecting energy into her. I've done this before. It's a sort of a thing where you try to decide which chakra you're going to aim the energy with. Some people like the heart chakra, some the third chakra. If you want to do like a power thing, like really push a reluctant soul, the third chakra is quite good. If you want to sort of emboss somebody in love, you use the heart chakra. If you want them to talk a bit, it's good to use the throat chakra. But anyway, you get to know which one to use. and I believe I used the fourth chakra, and a fairly high level of light energy, and it took a while to sort of get her out of her sleep, just in the same way that you might try to wake up someone that's really deeply asleep and doesn't come to easily. And I had been told very quickly that there was a niece waiting for her, and that she'd be happy to hear that. So I finally sort of got her half awake, and she was like, quite fearful actually. She looked at me like, "Who's this man in my bedroom?" And I thought, oh, wrong appearance. I should have looked like a lady, but I didn't think of that. And I tried to reassure her that I was, a spirit guide here to help her, but she didn't really sort of trust me. And she kind of went from a sort of uh, crouched over, curled up, sleeping position to a sort of sitting up with her knees up and the blankets over her knees, like she was afraid. So I had to calm her down out of that. And that took a while. It took longer than the two guys in the plane, I'll tell you. And then I tried to suggest to her that I was definitely a guide, and I had a niece here that really wanted to meet her. And that really brightened her up. This must have been definitely her favorite niece. I don't know about children or grandchildren. I got the feeling it was a sister's daughter, and that this woman was childless, but she really glommed on to this daughter of this sister. And this daughter was a deceased upper middle-aged woman who had died herself when she was 60, 65. Anyway, she was ready, and when I brought her on into the little scene, sort of by waving at her, she came in, and the frightened lady was immediately happy to see her and went off with her, and sort of went by me, sort of staring at me distrustfully still. I had to chuckle to see how distrustful she was, and that pretty much ended that. The niece knew what she was doing.
Pretty neat that you can recognize those emotions and those subtleties, the little things, little details.
Just practice, I guess. You never know how they're going to react, David. You know what I mean. They can react in any number of ways, and you just have to get good at your sort of manipulation of reactions and approaches to people. You have to be flexible, fast and flexible.
Yeah.
But it was funny that I didn't suss out that she'd be like this frail old lady that was frightened of men. I didn't think of that till it was too late. And she was like, really like, "Who's this strange man in my bedroom? Is he going to attack me?" Oh dear, that took a minute or two to get around.
Well, I think we had a good session today. And as usual, we're going to be meeting the next time. It's November 19th, and I will get the email out like I've been doing. And the usual time, 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and before we sign off, David, I'd just like to say to everyone, I've arrived at a point in my in my schedule where I can now start looking at the old videos. And as I said months ago, I was going to go through them all and add to the short notebook of retrievals book. And there's obviously a lot to look at, and it'll take me quite a while. But I know there's lots of great retrieval work in there, and I just have to, parse it all out and type it up. So what I'm saying is I'm going to be doing this, and if anyone has any privacy issues they don't want to be spoken of, send me an email. Or if you'd rather, I can use your name, or I can use your initials, or just say a member of the team. So please pick whatever you're comfortable with, and let me know. Like I say, I'm starting this now. I probably won't be done till I bet January. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that I'm going to get started on this.
Okay. Any last comments before we move on with our day? Okay. Take care, everybody.
Have a great couple weeks, everyone.
Yep. See you in a little bit.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye, everyone.
everybody. Bye.